But yeah, this one is Honest Guide. We visited America and this is what we hated.
Most people love this place and love this spot. I actually consider it to be one of the worst spots in New York and United States. Here's a couple more.
Yeah, in my opinion, I would not love going there. Fucking insanely crowded people. I'm not one for like crowds. I mean, I like crowd just because it's not empty, right? But also I'm not a big social guy, The- I don't know. As long as everyone's not like looking at me and stuff, I'm okay. I'm okay sometimes. But that's fucking crowded. And especially when you go there, you're gonna get a shit ton of people walking up to you, asking questions, pictures, money, trading stuff or whatever. What is that baby, dude? But yeah, I feel like that's what I would hate about New York.
Fabulous Las Vegas.
Oh, Las Vegas. Okay.
Now it is
Las Vegas definitely a big selling place
a
too.
place, a city that almost everyone who roams the West Coast will visit eventually. And it's also a place that we all know from the movies, from the blockbusters, from Ocean's 11, from pretty much any movie that takes place in casino. So when we visit, we're like, oh yes, let's go to a casino. And there's a shocker the minute you walk in. The one I noticed when I was 21 and I walked into a casino in Las Vegas, I was like, whoa, what's that smell? Why is everyone smoking? What the hell?
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
see that in the movies. Now seriously, show me a movie that portraits someone in a casino in Las Vegas where they are smoking and there's ashtrays full of ash next to them. I've never seen that, so that's the reason.
I feel like that's like a thing, Like I never went in the casino or anything, right? But I feel like everyone knows just the air of casinos smells like cigarettes, I feel like that's like a known thing. Does it smell like cigarettes? There's people smoking.
Reality. Now look at the people around you in the casino. They don't look anything like Danny Ocean or Matt
Just
Damon or
regular
Ben
people.
Affleck. They look like the type of people that like to be in rooms without windows where it's okay to smoke, drink, and waste your money. That's
Yeah.
the real experience, not the Ocean's 11.
Bro,
All right, let's get
driving
out of the
around in a circle, slotting.
That's the real
Oh my God. What a
experience,
fucking loser.
not the Ocean's 11. All right, let's
Holy
get out of
shit.
the casino because I'm sure the world is much better on the outside. No, it actually gets worse. Now, you've heard of the Strip. It looks amazing in the movies, right? Especially from a helicopter. But once you get down to the Strip,
Wait, is it?
amazing in the movies, right? Especially from a helicopter.
Oh, that's a strip, just a whole thing right there. I thought it was something else.
But once you get down to the Strip, you realize it's not like a huge walking pedestrian zone. No, it's a freaking highway.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And you're unable to cross it unless you walk into
That's what I was thinking when I seen that little view thing. Where is it?
It looks amazing
Like I thought it was way thinner. Yeah. It's fucking a huge road, that's why.
in the movies, right? Especially from a helicopter. But once you get down to the Strip, you realize it's not like a huge walking pedestrian zone. No, it's a
It's a pink
freaking
car.
highway. That's what it is. And you're unable to cross it unless you walk into one casino, go through the hallways, get
That big
lost
ass
in that
CVS
casino,
though.
then eventually you find a walkway across that 27-lane highway and you end up in another casino. So a walk that you can see from your window from a place where you're standing and you want to get over there may take like 20 minutes. Now,
Wow.
I'm from Europe, from a town of Prague where we can walk. So if we see something, we can usually walk directly to it. That is
Yeah, it's not people,
the
like, driving
opposite
everywhere.
in Las Vegas. I remember getting lost in these gigantic, enormous parking lots, garages, back doors, back entrances. We were the only people walking around from place to place. It was just weird. Sorry for the Hey Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
if you're in places like that, so like in America in general, you need a car. Rent a car. I know they have money to do it, so you just rent a car, drive around, because that's kind of what you gotta do when you're in America, because everyone drives, especially when you're like touring around everywhere. You need a car.
Walking around from place to place, it was just weird. Sorry for the hate, Las Vegas. Let me say something positive, and that is we're moving on to the next place.
No. Okay.
Disney World. I've only been once,
Oh.
but let me tell you the story. So there I am, and
I've only been to Disneyland, by the way. I don't know. Disneyland was fun. I liked it. But I wasn't there for too long, so I didn't ride all the rides, and I wasn't really. I don't know. Didn't really have people I wanted to go everywhere with, or I wasn't really with people, to be honest. So it was fun, kind of. It's also kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie.
figure out that it's not just one park, it's multiple parks, and I'm there for a day.
But yeah,
so
Disney World is fucking huge. I want to go there someday, though. Of course, with like friends or whatever. But that looks fun. That looks fun. Yeah, I know the little resort hotel things are insanely expensive. Regardless, I still want to go.
ask when I'm buying the tickets, hey, is it possible to visit all the parks in one day? And the lady says, of course, you can visit all the parks, you just need to buy the proper ticket. That will cost you $250. I'm like, all right, that's a lot of money, but if I am able to visit all the parks, let's do it. It was during Christmas time, 2011, and I figured, hey, it's Christmas. I guess people will be home, right, with their families. Nobody's going to go to amusement parks.
Definitely
Boy,
not.
that was a mistake. First of all, when it's Christmas time,
If it's a holiday, like no matter what holiday it is, it's gonna be packed.
to go to amusement parks, boy, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
First of all, when it's Christmas time, people do go to amusement parks. I mean, like all of them. Second fact, you cannot visit all the parks and actually enjoy them in one day. That
Oh, yeah,
was a
definitely
very,
not.
very bad move on my side. So for $250 times two, I had a girlfriend back then, I spent the entire day
Oh.
only using the monorail, taking the path between the different parks and standing and waiting in lines. It was a horror show. As you can tell from the pictures I took back during that
He does
day,
not like
I
he was
was
having
not a
fun.
happy kid. By the way, when you enter Disney World, it says by
Oh my
the entrance,
God.
happiest place on earth, which is a lie because if you Google happiest place on earth, you'll find Finland. So if you're a family of four, you live somewhere in the United States and you want to have a really great experience and save a lot of money, don't go to Disney
Finland.
World, go to
Oh.
Finland.
Yeah.
If you're
Okay.
going to San Francisco, be sure to avoid some streets. Once again,
Ooh,
San
yikes,
Francisco is
yeah.
portraited as this amazing, beautiful city, the Golden Gate Bridge, the beautiful houses,
Definitely
and
not.
so on and so on. We
I never thought of San Francisco being a beautiful city, Because I think it's just because I know America and I know, or like, US. I know how poor everywhere is and how shitty it is living in the US. Well, for a lot of people at least. And the amount of homeless people and people that do drugs just on the street, it's a fucking shit ton.
know it as kids from TV shows, but lately, especially during my last visit, I was surprised. Some streets especially has changed to basically a camping grounds for homeless people, to the point where you're unable to walk those streets and you're, I don't want to say scared, but it's really weird. Now I understand this issue goes deeper and it's easy to talk about it when I'm thousands of miles away, but I'm from a big city, we have homeless people, but if the homeless people would decide to build tents and block streets where we need to walk, somebody would probably solve that issue. I mean, I hope.
How?
So to
do
me,
you
that
solve
was
that
a
issue?
bit of a shocker on the latest visit, and I can imagine other people visiting San Francisco picturing it from the movies or TV shows they saw, and then facing the reality, maybe a bit of a shock. New York City.
Yeah, it's like
Times
coming to Hawaii and expecting it to be, like a nice paradise thing. I think Hawaii is one of the most homeless food places or states, I think. Don't quote me on that though. I feel like I've seen that somewhere. Well, it's also because Hawaii is one of the most expensive states to live in. So, and you can't just like move to another state because you're homeless, right? You don't have money. You can't afford tickets like that. Besides like going from Hawaii to Hawaii. But yeah, plus it's hard to move away from where you a state you lived in or an island you lived on for your life. It's like once you get, and there's a lot of fucking people that do drugs too. That's another reason why a lot of people are homeless. Not just the whole tax and how expensive it is to live here. But yeah, that's kind of how it is though. Thinking Hawaii is a paradise, move here, or you come here for a vacation, and the streets and everything filled with people in tents, homeless, or crackheads just walking around. It's not great.
Square. Now, if you're a first-time visitor to New York
And if you do try to go to Hawaii, make sure you know where you're going and where you're staying. Because if you don't, you most likely get robbed, mobbed, or something. Something will happen to you if you don't know where you're going.
City, most likely you'll end up on this square.
And if you're not a local, of course.
Thinking that it represents New York City. It does, but I guess only on postcards. Times Square is nothing what it was like back in the days. I just recently visited with my dad, and my dad said,
That looks like his dad.
Where are all the people? I said, where's that? New York City, It's just Starbucks and McDonald's and stores I don't know because they're new chain stores. And on top of that, because you're not the only tourist there, all the tourists are there.
That's
it
terrible.
attracts a lot of scammers. So you get the fake money.
I don't get people. Like, I really don't. Like, you're gonna get scammed wherever you're on. And, like, it because you're going to tourist spots. If you go to tourist spots, you don't buy shit from random people just standing there selling shit. You're getting scammed. Like, especially it's like some gambling, quote unquote gambling thing. You're getting fucking scammed, Like, I don't get people that spend money at these tourist spots and obvious scams. It doesn't make sense.
Monks from Tibet trying to build something in Chinatown, which is an utter lie. They're not from Tibet, they're not monks. You have those guys handing out the free CDs that suddenly cost $20. And last but not least, going back to Disney, you have those characters that mingle around, and when your kid wants to take a picture with Spider-Man, suddenly 25 other characters will show up and they'll demand $10 each for that photo. And I was also filming an interview with the people that were crossing Times Square, and I was asking them a simple question. Are you from New York City?
No.
Excuse me, are you from New York City?
No.
No.
I am not. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's so funny how he just leans into them because he's such a tall guy. So he has to like crouch down and lean. I don't know, it's funny to me.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's so funny.
The one guy that was from New York City,
I feel like it's obvious to kind of like pick out who's from New York, just a little bit.
Okay. The one guy that was from New York City, I think, told me to fuck off. Now, if there's one worse place that I probably would hate even more in New York than Times Square, it would be Times Square on New Year's. And I actually do know a person that did it, went to Times Square with, 1.5 million people to be stuck in this small place to wait for a ball to drop. And that's Hanzo behind the camera. How was it, Hanzo? Something you don't want to repeat. Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
Sounds terrible.
Okay. Times Square is changing. It used to be packed with cars. It still is, but parts of it are becoming a pedestrian zone. So that's a light at the end of the tunnel. McDonald's. Why would this guy hate McDonald's? Well, let me explain. I don't hate it, but if I compare it to what McDonald's looked like in Europe or in our country, the Czech Republic, it was a bit of a shock for me when I was in the US and I entered McDonald's. I was like, whoa, it's dirty here, and it's like weird.
Yeah.
Why is it?
When you're in New York, I feel like everything is more dirtier. I mean, I've never been to New York, so I'm just like speculating. But it's kind of how I feel like it is. Everything in New York is more like run down, older. Everywhere's just fucking slopping around. So like, it makes sense that the McDonald's there isn't great. It makes sense. Right?
Everything's so old. We're used to McDonald's.
Look at that picture. Oh,
here.
Not of him. Like the whole garbage bin right there. It's, I feel like that's a kind of representation of New York. Like, it's a very dirty place. It gets cleaned every now and again, right? But it's kind of just that, like old, broken down, rust. Fuck, I don't know. Just guessing from everything I see. and how I know US is and stuff.
like weird. Why is everything so old? We're used to McDonald's being new. I mean, the first McDonald's in our country opened in the 90s, and therefore most of them are much newer than the ones in US. Also,
yeah,
for us, when we were kids, that was really something to go to Mickey D's. I mean, it was expensive. We would really have to talk our dads to, you know, getting us chicken McNuggets and buying that extra sauce.
Those are two different chicken nuggets right there. The one on the right looks fucking amazing. It looks like orange chicken on the right. That's why it looks very good. The one on the left, I don't know what's up with that one. But the one on the right, that one looks good.
You have to pay for it here. Unlike in US, it's like, you know, junk food. So now we're going to be sued by Disney and McDonald's. So it's not like, you know, junk food. So now we're going to be
pay
sued
for
by
ketchup?
Disney and McDonald's. So it's not really I hate it, it's just a
He's getting sued by Disney?
and McDonald's. So
What
it's not
the
really
fuck?
I hate it, it's just a disappointment from what McDonald's look
What's
like
she
in
doing?
US compared to Europe. I mean, we have McDonald's that look like this, or this, or this. Or have you seen the McDonald's in Paris?
Those are nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's a tip for you when you visit.
I mean, of course, there's insanely nice McDonald's in the US. It's just the fact that most McDonald's in the US are old because it's, you know, that's where McDonald's came from, right? It's very old. It's gonna be old, especially in like these poor parts of the US that McDonald's is in. It's not gonna look new. It's gonna be like an older, rundown, gross kind of McDonald's. Like here in Hawaii, I don't know what I was gonna say. Here in Hawaii, there's McDonald's that look fucking nice, like fantastic. You know, like glass building, everything modern. Some other ones in like the poorer parts are more like, I don't know. I was gonna say hobo, but I don't know if people know what that is. They're not great, you know, dirty, unclean looking, just old, you know. That's kind of what it is.
Visit Europe, Finland.
Just
most
depends
likely
where it
because
is.
it's the happiest place
Of
on
course.
earth. Go to McDonald's. Absence of city centers.
Oh, but he didn't talk about how different the food tastes. I was waiting for that. I wanted to see how his thoughts on the US McDonald's versus, you know, Czech, wherever else.
Now, once again, not really a
I mean,
fan.
it's kind of hard to compare food from one country to another because, you know, you're not eating it side by side, you know.
I hate, but it's a shock. Like if you go to any city in Europe or in our country, the Czech Republic, you name it. Hansa, give like 5 random pictures of a city center in our country. Here you go. They all have a square, there's usually a church, there's a city hall, there's people walking
Right.
around, there'll be like a restaurant, a coffee place, the post office, and so on. You know it's the city center because it's in the center, right? But if you Google downtown LA, you get this picture.
Yeah.
Why is it so from far away? Like, why don't you show us what it looks like down there? Oh, maybe you don't want to share that, do you, huh? So the absence of a square in the middle of the city is something we don't understand. Like, if we go visit a city
Makes
we've
sense,
never
huh?
been to, where do you start? Well, you start on the square. You go to the city hall that is opened and you
Huh,
ask them.
I never thought about that. Like, if you go to somewhere else, you start from the square. I feel like you just start from your hotel or wherever you're staying and you just move off from there.
a map, and then you walk your way around. That's
Or maybe
kinda
work
sad.
your way out to in.
And on
I
top
don't
of
know.
that, there are places like San Diego that has the old town. I was once brought there by my friends who live there, and they're like, you gotta see the old town of San Diego. So I was like, all right, so San Diego, the old town will be right in the middle, right? No, it's basically a tourist attraction on the outskirts of the town.
Makes sense.
Imagine the old town of Prague, like. it's just
But yeah, I don't know. When he said Old Town, I felt like it'd be towards that little ocean front he showed. I mean, of course, that's where, you know, boats and everything is. But I feel like it'd be somewhere by the water, like more inwards, not like towards all the other, you know, the whole open
the
stuff.
outskirts of the town.
I don't know.
Imagine the old town of Prague, like.
Maybe it's just the gaming
Where's the
thing
old town?
thinking
Oh,
now.
so like you take exit 7. There's a huge parking lot. You get on this tourist train. Just the fact that if you Google Old Town San Diego, all the pictures you find look like a Disneyland.
So the
So
same
every
people
US city
in
is
the
either
picture.
a picture of postcardish skyscrapers, or it's that one long street with different businesses on the side with gigantic parking lots. There's also that cartoon map of every European city. It looks like this. And I also just found out that there is an every American city cartoon map, and it looks like this. But that being said, being
Never seen that in
different
my
is awesome, right? That's why we love to travel to discover new places. And I'm not expecting United States to look same as Europe, and Americans are probably not expecting Europe to look same like United States. So that's why we travel. And if you happen to travel our way into our
I just
city,
don't think people mainly understand how poor people are in the US. Like everyone thinks about it how like US is the most like, you know, rich place to be, where people go to, you know, live a different life or whatever. But like most people, like an average wage is not a lot, and the cost of living in the US is terrible. So everything's not gonna look good or like great depending on where you are, of course. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like not in the US don't realize that.
which is the Prague of Czech Republic, will be more than happy. We run this show that is called The Honest Guide. Most of the time we spend either showing you cool venues in the city or catching scammers. So on your way to the happiest place on earth, which is not Disney World, Finland, please make a layover in Prague. We'll be more than happy to welcome you here. That was the two of us, The Honest Guides. Hansa behind the camera, Yannick in front of it. Bye-bye. And
so he goes from different, he goes to different states or whatever and goes all the way back to Prague. I don't know. When I first watched his videos, I felt like he was in the US, just visiting different places. And then, of course, I heard the accent, his language and stuff. Like, oh, somewhere else. But I still felt like he probably stayed in the US. But that's crazy though. Where we had an honest guide. We visited America, and this is what we hated.